186th overall.
What's your guess, Bobby?
I'll probably go kicker. I think I'm gonna go with kicker. So let's see. We're just waiting on the announcement. Thanks, guys, for being with us. It's going to be a busy 6th round. Not a fan's daughter wants in on this as well, which I love. I never got your full name, by the way.
Steve, bro. My name's Steve.
Oh, Steve. Nice to meet you.
And you know what, Bobby? Let's wait till after that.
Nice to meet you, dude. And here is the 6th round pick at 186 overall. My gut feeling is correct. It is a kicker, but it's not Fitzgerald out of Florida State. It is Tyler Loop out of Arizona. And guys, this is pretty notable because this could very well be the end of the Justin Tucker era in Baltimore. So we will learn as much as we possibly can about Tyler Loop in the coming minutes. But let's just be clear with the NFL's investigation. And I'm going to mute you for a second and bring you back on in a second, Steve. With the NFL's investigation still ongoing, right? And Justin Tucker's future being very, very uncertain. This could mark the end of the greatest run a kicker has had in the history of the National Football League. And Tyler Loop could very well be the successor to Justin Tucker. With the sixth round pick at 186 overall, Tyler Loop is coming to Baltimore. That's what's happening. Steve, what's your immediate thought?
It's a sign that I think you're spot on. It's like it's sad, because we love Tuck, right? And yeah, it's a sign that it ain't looking good. Ain't looking good for the future of Tuck in Baltimore. And honestly, I'll be real with you. Without these allegations, I feel like Tuck would have had a statue outside of Baltimore. In my opinion.
Now, how about this though? I'll say something even crazier, and that's not that was crazy, but I'll say something crazy. Without the allegations, without this offseason having taken place the way that it has for Justin, I would go as far as to say they might have still been selecting a kicker because he has not been elite in 2 years, Steve. It's been 2 years.
No, that's not for all. You kind of gotta. It's it's a business, and he's been around long enough. Where hey, look, you ain't been performing like you used to. I own a business. I'm in sales. If you ain't performing, you gotta somebody else can. That's what it comes down to. So yeah, you missed some pivotal. Like we always gonna look at the Eagles game. We always gonna think about that last year. That affects seeding. The Pittsburgh game. Like, come on. Right? Those things that affected seeding. We could have been hosting Buffalo instead of playing at Buffalo. Things like that matter. Precisely. And you did contribute to us not being able to do that. That's a fact. So
precisely. Look at what he's done the last 2 years. A sub 80 field goal percentage. He was 18 of 23 his final year at Arizona. Prior to that, he was 19 of 24. Prior to that, in 22, he was 18 of 21, and then he was a perfect 12 for 12. That was 4 years ago in the 2021 season, and it looks like 2020 was a red shirt. So that marks, again, potentially the end of Justin Tucker's Hall of Fame-esque career on the field for the Ravens. And I appreciate you live reacting to it, brother. Anything else that you want to say before you jump?
No, just I feel like you you took my comment earlier the wrong way. But listen, I'm always around because I appreciate the work you put in. You and Sarah, I love y'all. Appreciate the channel. It's all respect. It was just more so. I feel like kind of beating a dead horse on the Green's allegations from years ago. There's just certain ways you can take it. So that's all I was saying.
This was the comment that you're referencing. No need to backpedal for the both of us, but I appreciate you coming on, brother, and thank you for all the support. I know you never missed a show, so Steve, we'll catch up soon.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right, man. Guest lines are open. Not a fan chiming in for the first time, which was cool. He's always chiming in the live chat, always chiming in with super chats and everything else in between, which is super, super kind of him. And yes, Zay Lopez Diaz, we know that Justin is innocent until proven guilty, much like Mike Green. But again, it's a part of the equation and ultimately one of the biggest reasons why the Ravens are in a position where they may very well and are planning to potentially move on from Justin Tucker because of what is taking place for him legally outside of football. That's the reality of where we sit right now. And ultimately, the NFL has yet to release its findings to ultimately conclude the results of the investigation that has been going on for months now. The guest lines are open. I'm taking instant reactions to Tyler Loop, who has just been drafted 186th overall in the 6th round by the Ravens. He's an Arizona kicker. A sub 80% field goal percentage here. And off we go. Will Justin be a part of this program moving forward? That remains to be seen. Chef Trez chiming in the car. Let's get his thoughts. I assume you're up to speed on what's going on, Chef. There is a new kicker in town. Your thoughts? Chef, you got me? Nope. Chef just popped off. Jeff Zarebek noting that the Ravens have insisted they'll follow the lead of the NFL investigation when it comes to making a decision on Justin Tucker. Depending on their decision, Loop will either become a 6th round insurance policy or the likely heir apparent to the most accurate kicker in NFL history. That is the truth. I will tell you that while Tyler's field goal percentage from this past season leaves some to be desired, 78.3, 18 of 23 to be exact, one of those makes was a 62-yarder. 62. And 6 of his 9 attempts from 50 plus were converted. So 3 of the 5 that he missed last year came from 50 plus. Just something to keep in mind. Another quarterback is off the board. It's Riley Leonard of Notre Dame, 189th overall. He goes to the Indianapolis Colts in the 6th round. Ravens press conference still underway. Let me just clear my throat. 4 hours and 15 minutes worth of coverage. When I go to sleep tonight, I may never get up again. Robbie Pate says, whether or not Tucker gets cut because of the allegations, we needed to get a future kicker anyway. Tuck hasn't been consistent. Which is true. Tilly looking at me like she wants to go outside. It has been a while. I don't blame her. Got to get her outside here at some point. $190 is where we are right now. The Colts currently on the clock. Or sorry, that was oh no, they're going back to back, I guess. Okay. They're going back to back. So the Colts are on the board on the clock at 190. Really bothers me that I continue to say on the board when it's on the clock. Clock. It's on the clock. But this is what the rest of the way looks like for the Ravens. They will next pick at 203, which is 13 away from right now, then 210, then 212, and then 243. Kevin Ostreicher joins the show in about 6 minutes. I look forward to that. Chef is in the building. Jason is in the building. Both of you guys are in the waiting room. If you want to pop on, give me a thought on what the Ravens just did. They selected a kicker in the 6th round. It's Tyler Loop out of Arizona. You say what to that, my friend Chef, who's looking really clean? Look at him.
I don't know. I would say I'm not too shocked. I mean, the Ravens organization has always been a proactive than a reactive organization. So with how Justin Tucker is playing last season and then also this season, and how there's like no way around it, he ended up costing us games. And then you tack on his off-field stuff that's been going on this off season. I mean, it's a proactive move to bring in a your future kicker possibly if he makes a team or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it was kind of a no brainer. Who they picked, I don't know. Couldn't tell you. It's sixth round. It's kicker. I'd have to watch the highlight tapes of him making kicks or something. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I'm not too surprised by it.
I'm not either. I expected this, just like I think we expected a punter, knowing that Sam Cook was living on borrowed time back in 2022 when they selected Jordan Stout out of Penn State in the 4th round. For very different reasons, they were forced to do it this time around at kicker, and they bring in Tyler Loop. If you're just tuning in, the reality is of where we are right now is Justin Tucker's successor may be in the building, and the era of the most accurate kicker of all time might be over in Baltimore, which is pretty wild to think. Chef, Shador Sanders came off the board to Cleveland. We will see him twice a year, or at least the Ravens will see him twice a year. Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski talked about it in their post-draft presser. Listen to this.
It's really all this. It's like, look, got to come in and work, and you got to come in and compete. That's the message. Nothing's given. Given the nature of the weekend for him, relative to, let's say, external expectation versus what happened, we did tell him that it really doesn't matter where you picked; it's what you do from that point forward, because that's the reality for all the guys that we selected this weekend. In terms of his reaction, I just say it was probably a mixture of gratitude, relief, and determination. That would probably be the best way to characterize it. But he's certainly ready to go.
Chef, that was, of course, after passing on him multiple times throughout the weekend. They ultimately get him in the 5th. He joins a quarterback room that consists of Joe Flacco, fellow rookie Dylan Gabriel, who they selected last night out of Oregon, Kenny Pickett, and, of course, the elephant in the room, Deshaun Watson. Your thoughts on the new look Cleveland Browns?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough to have thoughts on, because it's like you have all these quarterbacks. Who's going to be getting like the primary snaps, the primary reps, like first team reps, second team, and whatnot? And then that's also going to cut into, okay, how much time are we going to have to like develop these rookies, or develop our future guy, Sanders, probably, with like all this stuff going on. I mean, there's a lot to work on, but I guess their silver lining is that Deshaun Watson probably not going to be playing as Brown. I mean, he still has to rehab his knee after he retore it this offseason, or his early offseason. So, yeah, you can probably build an offense around the guys who actually will, play the actual offense that you want to run. But I mean, that's too many mouths. That's too many quarterback mouths, too many people who are who want to be the number one quarterback in the room and be the one taking the snaps, getting the game started, and all that. So it's the Browns. It's the Browns being Browns. So I mean, I'm not worried about it. The team I would be worried about would be Cincinnati, trying to bounce back from a abysmal defensive year, and I mean Steelers, because they're usually somewhat in it back. So that's really my main concern.
Appreciate you, Chef. Thanks, brother. Enjoy the weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, they're not a threat at all. I feel bad for Kevin Stefanski. I think he's a good dude and a great coach. And now the Deion Sanders conversation, as soon as something goes south for the Browns, inevitably early on is going to become a thing. We all know that. It's going to become a media crazed thing. That's absolutely what's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it is when. Bilal Cohn is the Ravens corner that was brought in a short while ago to kickstart what will be a very busy 6th round. And here he is. He's a player that Chuck Pagano is going to have a chance to have him at his disposal. He's a corner out of Western Michigan. He had a pick, 70 tackles, and 9 PBUs for the Broncos. And that is the first of many to come here in the 6th round. My next guest, he doesn't know it yet, but he's going to be important for me because I got to take a leak. And this is coming up on hour 5. Kevin Ostreicher from Locked On Ravens. It's been a while since we caught up. I look forward to reuniting here in a second. You can follow Kevin on social media at Kevin Ostreicher. You can find his work at Locked On Ravens. He is a daily creator as well. We understand that grind. We admire that grind. I appreciate him for coming on the show to join me in the middle of what's going to be inevitably a jam-packed 6th round, and already is, because it sure looks like, Kev, the Justin Tucker era is all but over.
I'm happy to be here, Bobby. I appreciate it. I'm glad I can be an important piece of this for you to give you a much needed break. I know the grind that goes into this, but yeah, I've already seen people referring to Tyler Loop, the fan base for Tyler Loop is the Loop Troop. So I think that is what is now the thing. He has an NFL leg, man. I mean, hit from 62 against Houston. That's his career long. Certainly tells you something, because the Ravens aren't going to carry 2 kickers on their roster. And if they outright cut him after training camp, I think that's a waste of an asset. So we were wondering if this was going to actually come down the pipeline, or if they were just going to wait until undrafted free agency. We saw a kicker go to New England a couple picks before this, so maybe Baltimore got a little antsy of maybe a kicker run coming. But yeah, for Justin Tucker, I just think it adds to the intrigue of what's to come and what the ultimate decision will be.
Yeah, and we know that Randy Brown, obviously the special teams consultant, somebody that's been a long time assistant to John Harbaugh, has a similar impact on this team compared to the one that Jerry Rossberg had. I think just sort of knowing the kicking class, having a great feel and a pulse for special teams.
Yeah.
And when you combine that with John Harbaugh's pedigree in that category, it's no secret as to why they've been so consistent. Now, certainly in recent years, I'm sure John has felt like there's been some left to be desired,
right,
based on the way that those formations have looked, and they actually have underperformed based on their standards. But you got to give them, I think, the benefit of doubt just because of their track record in the special teams department. So Tyler Loop goes 186 overall. It's a 6th rounder. He's an Arizona kicker. He joins the program. The NFL's investigation, obviously, still very much looming over this organization. You could view it as a cloud, depending on the way that you're looking at this. Here is, so far today, as a whole, and really Jameson has the entire class as a whole. I'm going to let you react to this big picture. I'm going to relieve myself, and I'll be right back in a second, bro.
I'll hold it down for you.
I promise I brought you on for other reasons than this, all right?
You know what? You need a break, man. Go take it. Enjoy it. I will hold it down for you here.
Catch you in a second.
You. Yep.
Thanks,
all right.
dude.
Yeah. I mean, I think that this honestly has been pretty fine. Pretty fine for Baltimore. I think that the first 3 picks I was thrilled with. Obviously, for Mike Green, on the field value is phenomenal at 59. A guy like Malachi Starks comes in and is able to give you more freedom with Kyle Hamilton, which is, really important, because obviously the Ravens put him in the deep part of the field off of necessity. And while he can play that, and he played it really well last year, I think that Starks can come in and give you that versatility. But when you look at a guy like Starks and a guy like Green, just, focusing on them for now, they both have, I would say, it's a safe floor with an insanely high ceiling. Baltimore needed instant impact players. They needed impact players that could help them now. That Nate Wiggins impact, that Roger Rosengarten impact. And this Baltimore team didn't really lose a ton in the offseason. Like, I don't know about anybody else who's tuning in here, but, you know, I've said this over on Locked On Ravens. I'm not really losing sleep over Patrick McCary. I might be gaining sleep over Brandon Stevens being with the Jets. And, you know, one of the things that pops off with Malachi Starks is him being able to turn his head for the football, ball tracking people. That's important. And we know how important it is because of what we saw Brandon Stevens do last year, or what he didn't do last year. So I know some people talk about safe picks as, you know, safe picks are just picks that have a low floor or a higher floor and a lower ceiling. I don't agree with that in these two instances, where I think that Malachi Starks and Mike Green both have really high floors, but it's not that they have a low ceiling. It's that Baltimore can get an instant impact in 2025, while also these guys 5 years from now, Bobby, I mean, these could be stars of this defense, you know?
Yeah, no, I first of all, I had you on speaker so I could listen through my stream sound, which was great.
I hope I did a good job for you, you know?
Look, the sound of the stream, because of how long I waited, it was loud, but I could hear your voice over the sound of the stream, which was good.
Right.
So, but I like the play on words too with the losing sleep versus gaining sleep.
Yeah,
that was clever. But yeah, we all knew that they went into this draft weekend with no significant holes. They had little pieces that they need to fill, and they have done so. And I think from here, now it's just like, okay, can you have any dark horse hits?
Right.
Because right now, let's see, the Lions pick is in, so they're on the clock right now. Denver on deck, Green Bay in the hole, 196. The Ravens will next be up in about 7 picks from right now at 203, and then it'll get crazy because they'll go 203, 210, 212. And so imagine if they do another Andrew Voorhees maneuver in the 7th round. We'll have to see. I don't even know if I'm going to make it to the 7th round, to be honest with you. This is insane. It better start going multiple seconds here.
Well, it all gets jumbled together. I mean, I woke up today, I thought it was Sunday. You know, you do so much draft coverage, all the days get mixed together more, and you're like, right now it feels like the 5th round, the 6th round, and the 7th round at once. You just don't really, once you start getting past like the 3rd round, you get into the hundreds. I don't really know when the draft turns over without looking at it. Like, I can make an educated guess, like, 59, 60, 61, 62. Yeah, okay, it turns over.
Yeah.
Or 64. But now once you get to like, once the comp picks coming in with like 40 picks in a round, you're just like, man, we got to keep it going here.
Oh, no doubt. No other team had more going into day 3 than this one did at 8. Yep. And only one other team had as many throughout the entire weekend. That was 11 in San Francisco. So, you know, this is where they love to be. They love to be in this position, and they love to be in a position where it's an optimal one to be in, where you could just take some swings right now over the next hour, and see if anything hits. Where can you find the Geno Stone that's out there? You know, from several years ago, the 7th rounder out of Iowa that turned into not only a reliable back-end ball hawk for you, but a compensatory pick as well when he left in free agency. So that's where we stand right now. It's 197 for the Houston Texans, then Green Bay, then LAC. But how about this? When you take a look at the AFC North, what stands out to you? Clearly, Cincinnati has made it obvious. The elephant in the room this offseason is to retool defensively. That's what they've done. Mm-hmm. For Pittsburgh, they're trying to figure out who the hell their quarterback's going to be. We think it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. They just brought in, was it Kyle McCord or Will
Howard was Pittsburgh.
Will Howard, okay, because those two went within a few picks of each other. They're brought in a couple running backs. They've obviously brought in Derek Harmon, which is the headliner. And rest in peace to his mother, which is just a tragic opening day story. I'm so glad. Hopefully she could hear in the middle of that coma and her final moments that her son was drafted, because that's ultimately, I mean, she was such a part of that puzzle, having read up on that family dynamic. And then Cleveland we get to whenever, because they're not going to be a threat. They're a disaster right now, but they're doing whatever it is possible to try and field a competitive team with what they have, and which is the worst situation in the history of professional sports at the quarterback position. So anyway, I'm just rambling now. What do you think of the AFC North?
I think that, first of all, when you look at Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati, all 3 of those teams went D-line in the 1st round. And, Bobby, we watched that playoff game in the wild card against Pittsburgh. Baltimore dominated them on the ground. And I know that a lot of people were wondering if they could have taken a Jackson Dart or a Milroe or even Sanders before his fall. But I think that was the right pick for them. But it seems like teams in the AFC North are trying to catch up to Baltimore, and Baltimore's trying to catch up with Kansas City. And I know Kansas City's on a low, but I think Kansas City's actually had a pretty good draft. But, you know, Baltimore is a step ahead of those teams right now. I actually think Pittsburgh's had a pretty solid draft overall. I have no idea what the Bengals are doing. I think that they have left a lot of value on the board, especially in the first couple rounds. I think it's gotten better as the draft has gone on for them. But, you know, I think Shamar Stewart's a toolsy player, but, you know, do we trust the Cincinnati defense that was one of the worst in the league last season to, you know, turn Shamar Stewart into a quality player? And then Demetrius Knight in the second, I think they got a better linebacker in the fourth. And so you could have taken Tate Ratledge. They need offensive line help too. So I think that while they added starters, that's more so their roster wasn't good on defense to begin with. Not that the players that they picked are these superstar stud guys. Now they have the potential to be, but you know, you're also talking about a window where you have re-signed T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. You don't know what's going on with Trey Hendrickson. We know Cincinnati's offense can put up 40 points, but you know, this Ravens offense will take advantage of the defense as we've seen, and the Ravens offense will put up 45 right back on them. I think the thing with Pittsburgh is they just have had a Pittsburgh draft. You mentioned Harmon. I thought that the Sawyer pick was really good for them. That just feels like a Steelers pick. Caleb Johnson feels like he fits their system in the run game, especially with the power that he has and some of the dynamic abilities. And they needed that because Najee Harris really wasn't cutting it for them. You know, he struggled against Baltimore in those games that we watched. And then, yeah, man, Cleveland is just Cleveland, man. You said it. I just don't really. Mason Graham is fine. I would have, if I was them, you could have had Travis Hunter. You could have taken Shadur and then had a better third rounder than Dylan Gabriel. But you have 5 quarterbacks in that room. You traded capital to get Kenny Pickett. You don't keep 5 quarterbacks on the roster. I just don't know what they're going to do. So I think that Baltimore has made out the best out of any of these teams in the North. And, you know, to me, furthering the gap that is between the teams right now.
Just a short while ago, Adam Schefter and Pete Thamel reacted to the Ravens' decision to, again, take their first ever kicker, meaning a drafted kicker, in the history of the franchise. Listen to this.
Comes as the NFL is investigating Justin Tucker, the All-Pro kicker, for allegations of sexual misconduct. Now, he has publicly disputed the allegations from multiple massage therapists. And the Baltimore Ravens, until now, have stood behind Justin Tucker and said that they were going to let the process play itself out. But here the Ravens make a loud statement. Teams rarely use picks on kickers without the intent of having those rookies come in and win those jobs. And once the Ravens take Tyler Loop here from Arizona in the 6th round, that tells you that Justin Tucker's future in Baltimore is very much up in the air.
Nothing that already wasn't and hasn't been said inside these walls. But it hits different when you're hearing that on the national side of things, and that is the reality of where the Ravens stand right now. There is a legitimate chance, a very good chance, if you've been following along in recent months, that the Justin Tucker era in Baltimore, one of the most unique that this town has ever had when it comes to sports figures, when it comes to excellence, when it comes to consistency, when it comes to clutch genes, and everything else in between, is over. And Kevin, that is a wild pill to swallow if that ends up being the case. And I tell you what, if it does end up coming to fruition, Tyler can have the biggest leg in this year's class as he wants. And as you said, he converted from 62 and he was 6 of 9 from 50 plus, despite his less than 80% field goal percentage his final season at Arizona. But all I want to know and all I'll be watching is where the pressure management side of the evaluation comes into play here, because he is now entering an era of Ravens football where it's no longer successful to make it to January. It's no longer successful to make it into late January. There is 1 month of the year that everybody expects this team to be playing in and playing for, and that is a Lombardi trophy. And that is a lot to come in as a rookie with that kind of pressure applied to your plate. And that, to me, is the way you got to look at it. I hope Tyler's got some stones.
One of the things that over Tucker's career, and you talked about it, is he would come onto the field in the highest pressure moments. You know, watching the game, you wouldn't flinch. You would understand, and that laser focus was there. Where last year it was so stunning because it's something that over the Justin Tucker era you never really felt like he would trot out there, and you were on the edge of your seat of, oh, is he going to make this kick or not? You were so confident with Tucker over the first decade plus of his career that last year it was such a different feeling. And obviously you add in the off-field allegations and that whole situation, plus the fact that it was the worst year of his career for 3/4 of the year last year. He got it together after the bye week, but it's new. It's a new era that Baltimore is maneuvering through right now. I think Adam Schefter hit the nail on the head, and we talked about it, where you don't spend a pick on a kicker and then just waste that asset a couple months later by releasing him. I think that a team would certainly find a value for him. We know, Bobby, kicker carousels are real, and the Ravens have not had to deal with that. I mean, over the course of their history, they have been solid with kickers, obviously dating back to Matt Stover, and the kicker history that they have had, it is rich. So whenever you enter a new era, it's different. They obviously value his leg strength and what he brings to the table. But if this truly is the end for Justin Tucker, it ushers in a new uncertain era, because you never know with the rookie kickers, pressure moments, as you talked about. It's a whole different ball game. And this team is competing for a Super Bowl. They're not in a rebuilding era where Tyler Loop can miss a game-winning field goal and be like, oh, that's all right, go get him next time. It's, man, that might have just cost us a division round game in Baltimore, like we saw 2 early season losses to Kansas City and Las Vegas do last season. So one game could be the difference, Bobby. We know that. And Justin Tucker's won them so many of those close games with his laser-focused energy and the fact that he's able to handle those high-pressure moments so well.
And as we've also seen, you can have a dominant scouting department that knows the classes in and out and is thorough and is well-documented and is informed on who you have coming out of college every single year. But it is another thing to try and evaluate and foresee how a player will respond to pressure management. And I think if there's a way to summarize what the Ravens have fallen short on, right, in a macro level term, they have come up short in pressure management situations over the last 2 seasons when it's mattered most. And that's where we stand right now. Green Bay is on the clock. The pick is in. Chargers are on deck. Jacksonville in the hole. Ravens right around the corner at 2:03. Why don't we do this? Yesterday, as you know, the headliner was Mike Green, who comes in at 59th overall in the second round. He had a beast-like final season at the collegiate level for Marshall, transferred in from the University of Virginia, 17 sacks, count them, 131 career tackles, over 20 tackles for loss last year alone, playing for Marshall. And the Ravens team account, Ravens Productions, just tweeted a short while ago, the call.
Eric DeCosta in Baltimore. How you doing, man? You doing good?
Doing good.
We're gonna take you, man.
I appreciate it.
His family's going crazy. It's emotional, very emotional, very emotional. His family's very emotional. Mike, hello. There you are. I was worried about you. You're probably getting a lot of hugs and stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I know this is an emotional time for you, and we're very excited to have you. You're an excellent player, and you're going to be a great Raven.
Great.
You're going to have you're going to be close to home too, which is going to be awesome. Right?
Like 2.5 hours.
I know. It's going to be great. Hey, listen. There's going to be great days ahead for you.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to let you talk to Coach Harbaugh, and then we're going to turn it in, and you're going to be on TV. Okay?
Okay.
All right, here's Coach Harbaugh.
Mike, congratulations.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, man. Hey, it's just beginning. This is where it starts, right?
Yes, sir.
This is where it begins. All right. You go hug your family.
appreciate it.
You watch yourself on TV. We'll call you back in about a half hour, okay?
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate it, man.
All right. Congratulations.
And if that doesn't strike a chord of emotion, I'm not sure what does. That is your newest Ravens edge rusher who joins the organization. He tweeted out a message for Ravens flock earlier yesterday, late last night. He said, "Watch what I do for y'all. And if it's anything like his final season at Marshall, Kevin, look out."
I'll tell you, this, again, on the field, this was a top 10 player, top 15 player for a lot of people. And you can see, I mean, he's emotional about the entire situation. He's motivated. I mean, the fact that he was getting mocked there, he felt confident in himself, and to see him fall the way that he did, I mean, it's going to add that extra chip to his shoulder. And I've never had a situation like this, Bobby, where I was so, like, I guess nervous is the word I'll use about a position. And then one player can come in and just completely change the outlook of the position for me. Where once they took Malachi Starks at 27, you're kind of sitting there wondering, well, at 59, are they really going to be able to get? Because Mike Green really wasn't on my radar for them. I thought he would have, one, be gone before they picked at 59, and two, I was wondering, would they actually pick him if he was still there? And so I was thinking, well, let's just take Mike Green out of the equation. Is there anybody who's realistically going to be available at 59 that could be the guy for them? Just look around the division. I mean, Myles Garrett in Cleveland, TJ Watt in Pittsburgh, Trey Hendrickson in Cincinnati. Baltimore's the only team that doesn't have like that superstar on the edge. Mike Green gives you that. And I said this on my live stream last night. There's a real possibility week one is over and Mike Green's already the best pass rusher on the team. Like that's just, that really was what it was with Nate Wiggins outside of Marlon Humphrey, where it's like Nate Wiggins automatically was their second best corner after week one happened. And you're just like, okay, well, here we are, because that's how good of a talent this guy is. Now, it's nothing against Calvin, or it's nothing against Adafio, but I think he fits into exactly what they need there, because not only is he so good against, opposing offensive linemen getting to the quarterback, but he's also such a good run defender. He is a true 3-down player. And for a guy, for example, let's just say like Tavius Robinson, awesome against the run. I think he's going to have a big year this year, but I think Mike Green just changes the whole complexion of how you feel about this room, because let's just throw Landon Jackson's name, who got taken by Buffalo a little bit after this. If you talk about Landon Jackson, Odafe Owe, and Kyle Van Noy, and then you go, okay, now let's replace Landon Jackson with Mike Green, you feel so much better about the room in general, because Owe has improved nearly every single season. He had 10-plus sacks last year. I mean, double-digit sack year is a big accomplishment for anybody. Kyle Van Noy gives you another player that can help you in the pass rush department. Plus, maybe Mike Green can help Kyle Van Noy get some rest on some plays and not put too much pressure on him to manage his snaps as he gets older. So it's a best-case scenario for Baltimore, where they got, in my opinion, at least two top 20 prospects at 27 and 59. I know Dane Brugler did his beast, the beast for the Athletic, and he had Mike Green in his, I think, top 10 or top 15. Same thing with Malachi Starks. So, when they took Starks, you're like, okay, Green was available. Will Johnson was available. There's no way that either of those guys fall, and Baltimore might not even pick them because of the concerns. Well, Mike Green gives you so much more versatility, because especially with his pass rushing moves, the spin move is the one that's kind of like his trademark. But a lot of these younger pass rushers, Bobby, some of them don't come in with plans. They just kind of have an arsenal, have moves, but don't know how to use them. That's been, for example, Nnamdi Madubuike had moves. He had talent, but he didn't have a plan. And over the course of the first couple of years of his career, he established that. Now, Nnamdi Madubuike is one of the premier pass rushers on the interior in the league. Mike Green has a plan. And I think the big thing for him is getting stronger. Once he gets stronger, man, I might turn into one of the better pass rushers in this league. So obviously he was there for a reason. Teams had him off their board. Baltimore, though, as Eric DeCosta and John Harbaugh said, clearly felt comfortable enough to take the swing on him.
Ultimately, too, based on Chuck Smith's Twitter reactions, you better believe he's ready to get involved with these guys, get them in the shop, if you will, and see what happens, because I don't think it's coincidence over the first 2 years of him, which was a non-traditional hire. He was a specialist who was brought in to get a legitimate coaching gig as the outside linebackers coach. Right. They have either led or finished second in sacks back-to-back years. So, again, don't think it's much of a coincidence whatsoever. Very emotional moment there for Mike Green and his family. That was courtesy of Ravens Productions. And that now brings us to another The Call, Kevin. And I think earlier today, I don't know if stunned is the right word, but perhaps head-turning was this decision that they made in the 4th round, and that is Teddy Buchanan, an inside linebacker out of California who lit up the stat sheet for Cal. This is a player that is an athletic freak, much like Trenton Simpson was coming out of Clemson. But I think why it's compelling, I'm sure you've discussed this already or at least been thinking about it, is Trenton was demoted last year, and they were forced to essentially go to a rotation with Malik Harrison on typically rundowns and Chris Board on passing downs. And that's a rotation that just puts you in a position where there's not as much camaraderie or consistency as there would be when you have the same running mates, an every down running mate duo. And they did not have that last year. And I think that even though Roquan found a way to become an all-pro player when it was all said and done after a slow start, imagine what he could have had if it weren't for the first quarter really having to do it all. And at times looking like he was a half step behind, perhaps due to the processing or the added work that would maybe perhaps looking out for his running mate in Trenton that made difficult situations even more difficult, particularly with the underneath pass coverage that they got burnt on early on. I think that really was exploited in the opening game in the rematch of the AFC Championship when Kansas City was using those sort of speedy gadget guys to ruin them in the middle part of the defense. So anyway, I'm going to get your thoughts on Teddy Buchanan in just a second. But first, Ravens Productions just released, again, The Call. It's their 4th rounder, and it is Teddy Buchanan who's coming to Baltimore.
Eric DeCosta with the Ravens.
How's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Hey, how would you feel about coming cross country and playing for the Ravens?
Oh, it'd be amazing, Coach.
We love the way you play. We love the way you play, and I know you're a great kid. You know, you're going to help us in all different phases and be a great special teams player for us too, right?
Absolutely, of course.
Yeah, we love the way you play. Excited to get you here at this spot. I think you're going to love Baltimore. I think we're going to love having you. I'm going to let you talk to Coach Harbaugh. We're going to turn the pick in. You're going to be a Raven, okay?
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, here's Coach Harbaugh.
Teddy, congratulations.
Coach, how's it going?
It's going great. It's going great now. We got you. We're happy.
Yes, sir.
How you doing? How you doing? How's it going for you?
Oh man, I'm on top of the world right now.
I love it. All right, you ready to go be great?
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
All right, we'll be practicing here in a few days, man. I can't wait to see you. It's going to be awesome.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
I'm going to put you on with Coach Zach Orr at DC, and then we'll get some people give you a call, and you can celebrate a little bit, all right?
All right, Coach. Appreciate it.
Right, congrats.
Thank you.
Teddy, what's going on, man?
How's it going?
It's going good. How you doing?
I'm great.
You ready to come play with your hair on fire here in Baltimore?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm ready.
Man. We excited to have you, man. Congratulations, man. Congratulations. Happy, excited for you, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, now. All right. Enjoy it with your fam. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Something fatherly about these calls, right? These guys that are absolute savages in their own rights with in their different professions turn into like this fatherly type of figure, at least in that moment. And I wanted to get your reaction to this Teddy Buchanan drafting, but there's a new one we got to talk about. There's a wide receiver that has just come off the board to Baltimore. So it's time to talk about LeJohntay Wester. He is from Colorado. So the Buffaloes are coming to Baltimore, or at least a Buffalo is coming to Baltimore. We know another Buffalo, his teammate, is going to the AFC North in Shador Sanders. But here is the graphic that the Ravens Productions account just tweeted out. You and I will instantly react to this. This is the beauty of obviously just life once you get to day 3. But we're going to all learn in real time about the 203rd overall selection, and this is in the 6th round. It's a 5'10", 163-pound wide receiver by the name of LeJohntay Wester, 4-year senior from Palmetto, Florida. What a shock. They go back to the Floridian well. He ran a 4.46 40, a 1.53 10-yard split, a vertical jump of 32 inches, a 10-1 broad jump. That's all it's on the combine page. He had 74 catches for 931 yards and 10 touchdowns last season at Colorado. His career started at FAU, and that is that. Your thoughts on the 6th round wide receiver who's going to try? Good luck making this team, LeJohntay, but you're at least going to have a shot come summertime.
And I think, Bobby, where this move makes sense for me is I think the Ravens just found their new returner, because LeJohntay Wester is a guy that over the course of his career in college, especially in 2023, that was his best year. It really came on at Florida Atlantic there. And then obviously Colorado, you mentioned he transferred 19.9 yards per punt return in 2023. He didn't get as many opportunities last year at Colorado to do that, but I think that for Baltimore, they were looking, and it was very clear, they were looking to find a returner, because really ever since Jacoby Jones, and rest in peace to Jacoby, they really haven't had a consistent return guy. And, you know, you can go with the season of Cyrus Jones here or half a season of another guy there, but they really haven't been able to find that guy. So I think that LeJohntay Wester, while he'll have an opportunity, I think he is going to be their 6th wide receiver on their roster. I think that position is now set. 6 wide receivers is a fine number. I think that's where they go. I think that as a returner, he's a very intriguing option, especially with that uptick in production, both in 2023 and then having a few opportunities there in 2024.